Gallery experience. Why do people pay millions for paintings? Have you ever looked at a painting and wondered, how can anyone pay millions of dollars for this? To most of us, a painting is a painting. Canvas, paint, a frame, maybe a beautiful image. So why would someone spend millions or even hundreds of millions to own one? Is the painting really that good? Or is something else happening? The answer is much more complicated than simply saying, rich people like expensive art. The first thing to understand is that the art market does not price paintings the same way we price ordinary products. You cannot look at a painting and calculate its value based on the amount of paint used. A famous artist might spend 3 months creating a painting. Another artist might spend 3 years. That doesn't automatically make one more valuable. In the art market, value can come from many different things. The artist's reputation, the history of the artwork, its rarity, its condition, its importance within the artist's career, its previous owners, its exhibition history, and the demand from collectors. Imagine an artist who created thousands of paintings. Now imagine another artist who created only a few hundred major works. If collectors strongly want the work of the second artist, there may be very few paintings available. When something is extremely rare and many people want it, prices can rise dramatically. This is one of the basic forces behind the art market, supply and demand. But art has something unusual. You can't simply manufacture another original. If an artist painted one particular masterpiece, there's only one original. You can make reproductions, you can make prints, you can make digital images, but you cannot create another original version of that exact moment in the artist's life. That uniqueness matters. Now let's talk about the artist's name. This is one of the most powerful forces in the art market. If an unknown artist creates a beautiful painting, it may sell for a few $100s or a few thousand. But if the same painting were created by an artist with an extraordinary international reputation, its value could be dramatically different. Why? Because collectors are buying more than an object. They are buying a piece of the artist's history. They are buying something connected to a recognized career. And sometimes they are buying something that may become even more important in the future. This is where reputation becomes part of value. Think about famous artists whose names are recognized around the world. When their work appears at auction, collectors already know the name. Museums know the name. Art historians know the name. Other collectors know the name. The demand already exists. That creates competition, and competition can push prices higher. But there is another important reason people buy expensive art. Status. Owning an important artwork can communicate something. It can communicate wealth, taste, knowledge, cultural sophistication, connection to history, or membership in a particular world. This may sound superficial, but status has always been part of collecting. People collect watches, cars, jewelry, wine, antiques, rare books, and art. The object can become a symbol of identity. A collector may be saying, "This is the kind of world I belong to." But not every collector is motivated by status. Some genuinely love the artwork. They may have studied the artist for years. They may have dreamed of owning a particular painting. They may feel an emotional connection to it. And for that person, the price may not be the most important part. They are buying something they deeply value. Now, there's another fascinating factor. Investment. Some collectors purchase art because they believe its value may increase. If an artist's reputation grows, demand for their work may increase. If museums begin acquiring the artist's work, that can strengthen the artist's importance. If major exhibitions are organized, interest may increase. If a famous collector buys the artist's work, other collectors may become interested. The market can create momentum. But art is not a guaranteed investment. Prices can fall. Artists can lose popularity. Markets can change. And unlike some financial assets, artwork can be expensive to store, insure, transport, and maintain. So buying art purely because you expect the price to rise can be risky. Now let's talk about auctions. An auction can make the value of artwork seem almost unbelievable. Imagine a painting begins with a certain estimate. One person raises the bid. Another person raises it again. Another person joins. The price climbs. And suddenly the painting sells for many millions. What has happened? The painting didn't physically change. The canvas didn't become larger. The colors didn't suddenly become brighter. What changed was the competition. Several people decided they wanted the same object, and only one person could take it home. That competition can create extraordinary prices. Sometimes an auction becomes almost a psychological battle. A collector may think, I cannot let this painting go to someone else. And suddenly the price becomes much higher than they originally intended. Emotion enters the market. This is one reason art prices can be difficult to understand from the outside. Art is not purely logical. People don't always buy art because it is practical. They buy it because it means something to them. And sometimes the meaning is deeply personal. Now, think about history. Imagine owning a painting that was created during an important moment in history. Perhaps the artist was part of a major artistic movement. Perhaps the work influenced generations of artists. Perhaps it was exhibited in an important museum. Perhaps it was owned by another famous person. All of that history becomes attached to the object. The painting becomes more than paint on canvas. It becomes a historical document. And that is another reason museums and collectors care so much about provenance. Provenance means the history of ownership. Who owned it? Where was it displayed? When was it sold? Was it included in important exhibitions? The more established, well-documented, the more confidence buyers may have in the artwork's authenticity and significance. Now here is something many people don't realize. The most expensive artwork is not necessarily the artwork that the average person will enjoy the most. You might walk into a museum and fall in love with a painting worth $5,000. Another visitor may stand in front of a $100 million painting and feel nothing. That's perfectly normal. Market value and personal value are different things. A painting can be priceless to you and almost worthless to the market. And another painting can be worth millions while you simply don't like it. Both reactions can be true. This is why art is so fascinating. It combines economics with emotion, history with psychology, culture with status, scarcity with desire, and sometimes mystery. So the next time you see a headline saying, painting sells for $50 million, don't ask only, is it really worth $50 million? Ask, who created it? What does it represent? How rare is it? Who wants it? What is its history? Why is there so much competition? And perhaps most importantly, what does owning this artwork mean to the person who bought it? Because when someone pays millions for a painting, they're rarely paying only for the canvas and paint. They are paying for rarity, history, reputation, emotion, status, cultural importance, and sometimes a feeling that they cannot get anywhere else. That is what makes the art market so fascinating. A painting may sit quietly on a wall, but behind that painting could be a world of desire, competition, history, money, and human emotion. And sometimes that world is worth millions. This is the gallery experience.